Hello and welcome to Chibi Read. So, maybe for beginners I should start with what is Rumpelstiltskin. In German it's Rumpelstiltskin. And and yeah, it's actually another one of the fairy tales that the brother Grimm wrote down, and it's actually a pretty nice one. So if you never heard of Rumpelstiltskin or Rumpelstiltskin, then today is a good day to start learning about him. As always, the story is pretty short because it's a little children's story. So yeah, I hope we can have fun. And for now, hello to everyone. I forgot to say this. So yeah, hello, and I think we could actually start. So, Rumpelstiltskin. A pretty interesting name because, yeah, like I said before, it's actually Rumpelstiltskin. And maybe it's renamed Rumpelstiltskin because it's easier to pronounce in English. Something similar happened to Max and Moritz. In English it's Max and Maurice. I actually wanted to read this, but I couldn't find the English version of it. Maybe it is a bit too brutal because Max and Maurice are little children who do play pretty bad pranks to their surroundings, like putting TNT in the cigar of the teacher, something like this. Yeah, what is it, community? Morning! Stonetrick, do you know about Rumpelstiltskin? I'm pretty sure you do, but yeah, just to be sure. At my workplace, everyone knows about Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, maybe you're too young to know about this. This one was wrote down in 1868, I think. Rumpeldingsbums. Yeah, everyone knows Rumpelstiltskin. Then it's good that you're here. Yeah, let's have a little refresher of our nice little childhood. So, Rumpelstiltskin. There was once a miller who was poor, but he had one beautiful daughter. It happened one day that he came to speak with the king, and to give himself consequence, he told him that he had a daughter who could spin gold out of straw. The king said to the miller, "That is an art that pleases me well. If thy daughter is as clever as you say, bring her to my castle tomorrow, that I may put her to the proof." When the girl was brought to him, he led her into a room that was quite full of straw, and gave her a wheel and spindle, and said, "Now set to work, and if by the early morning thou hast not spun this straw to gold, thou shalt die." And he shut the door himself, and left her there alone. And so the poor miller's daughter was left there sitting, and could not think what to do for her life. She had no notion how to set to work to spin gold from straw, and her distress grew so great that she began to weep. And all at once the door opened, and in came a little man who said, "Good evening, miller's daughter. Why are you crying?" "Oh," answered the girl, "I have got to spin gold out of the straw, and I don't understand the business." Then the little man said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace, seated himself before the wheel, and whir, 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 3 times round, and the bobbin was full. Then he took up another, and whir, 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 3 times round, and that was full. And so he went on till morning, when all the straw had been spun, and all the bobbins were full of gold. At sunrise came the king, and when he saw the gold, he was astonished, and very much rejoiced, for he was very avaricious. He had the miller's daughter taken into another room filled with straw, much bigger than the last, and told her, as she values her life, she must spin all of it in one night. The girl did not know what to do, so she began to cry. And then the door opened, and the little man appeared and said, "What will you give me if I spin all the straw into gold?" "The ring from my finger," answered the girl. So the little man took the ring and began again to send the wheel whirling around. And by the next morning all the straw was spun into glistering gold. The king was rejoiced beyond measurement at the sight. But as he could never have enough of gold, he had the miller's daughter taken into a still larger room full of straw, and said, "This too must be spun in one night, and if you accomplish it, you shall be my wife." For he thought, although she is but a miller's daughter, I am not likely to find anyone richer in the whole world. As soon as the girl was left alone, the little man appeared for the 3rd time and said, "What will you give me if I spin the straw for you this time?" "I have nothing left to give," answered the girl. "Then you must promise me the first child you have after you are queen," said the little man. "But who knows whether that will happen?" thought the girl. But as she did not know what else to do in her necessity, she promised the little man what he desired, upon which he began to spin until all the straw was gold. And when the morning came and the king found all of them according to his wish, he caused the wedding, and he held at once, and the miller's pretty daughter became a queen. In a year's time she brought a fine child into the world, and thought no more of the little man. But one day he came suddenly into her room and said, "Now give me what you promised me." The queen was terrified greatly, and offered the little man all the riches of the kingdom, if he would only leave the child. But the little man said, "No, I would rather have something living than all the treasure in the world." Then the queen began to lament and to weep, so that the little man had pity on her. "I will give you 3 days," said he, "and if at the end of that time you cannot tell my name, you must give up the child to me." Then the queen spent the whole night in thinking over all the names that she had ever heard, and sent a messenger through the land to ask far and wide for all the names that could be found. And when the little man came the next day, beginning with Caspar, Melchior, Balthasar, she repeated all she knew and went through a whole list of words. But after each the little man said, "That is not my name." The second day the queen spent to inquire all of the neighbors what the servants were called, and told the little man all of the most unusual and singular names, saying, "Perhaps you are called roast lips, or sheepshanks, or spindleshanks?" But he answered nothing but, "That is not my name." The 3rd day the messenger came back again and said, "I have not been able to find one single new name, but as I passed through the woods, I came to a high hill, and near it was a little house, and before the house burned a fire, and round the fire danced a comical little man, and he hopped on one leg and cried, 'Today I do bake, tomorrow I brew, The day after the queen's child come in. And oh, I am glad that nobody knew that the name I am called is Rumpelstiltskin. You cannot think how pleasured the queen was to hear that name. And soon afterwards, when the little man walked in and said, "Now, Miss Queen, what is my name?" She said at first, "Are you called Jack?" "No," answered he. "Are you called Harry?" She asked again. "No," answered he. And then she said, "Perhaps your name is Rumpelstiltskin." "The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" cried the little man, and in his anger he stamped with his right foot so hard that it went into the ground above his knee. Then he seized his left foot with both his hands, and in such a fury that he split in two, and there was an end of him. That was the story of Rumpelstiltskin. So, now community, you know about Rumpelstiltskin. What do you think? Wasn't this a nice little story? Thanks. Children's stories are actually pretty nice. And this one wasn't so hard to read because the sentences were not pages long like in all the other Grimm fairy tales. So, do you guys have any story that you want me to read you next time? Otherwise, I would go through the Grimm storybooks again to pick up the next story. There are still quite some unusual ones. I could even try some other stories like, fairy tales from other countries. Well, I'm pretty sure that I can think of something. I have a whole week to think something. Actually, there is a pretty nice internet page where they have almost all of the Grimm stories in German, English, Finnish, France, even Japanese. So yeah, it's a pretty nice site, and I will just see if I can find some other things. I see they also have some stories of Hans Christian Andersen, like The Ugly Duckling. That sounds nice. So maybe I will go with this next time. So yeah, that's for... Oh no! Actually, I hope that you would have forgotten about this. So on the other note, I actually want to stream some VR games right now, but I can't decide if I should play this Paradox of Hope. That's a horror survival shooter, looked a bit like Into the Radius, or if I just play some Beat Saber, because I would have fun playing Beat Saber, I think. Didn't play it in a couple of months, and somehow I have just this urge to play it for some reason. So yeah, I can't decide. Beat Saber or a shooter? Yeah, Ragnarok. The problem with Ragnarok is the last time I got some problems with my right wrist, and because I dislocated my wrist last month, it still isn't healed completely. So yeah, drumming wouldn't be that comfortable. On the other hand, maybe Beat Saber wouldn't be comfortable as well. So I think then it will be a Paradox of Hope. I haven't played it yet. I know that's made by a single developer. And yeah, it looked a bit like Into the Radius. It does have a pretty short story that will be advanced further in the future. And it does have power of yeah, then it will be Paradox of Hope. So what time is it? Yeah, okay, give me 15 minutes to start everything, and then we will see each other at Paradox of Hope. And for today's reading stream, thanks for dropping by, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed a little Rumpelstiltskin. And till next time, have a nice day, nice evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time it is at your place. So, bye!